The legendary director John Woo is back with his new film that I know everybody is talking about or is anticipating. And I'm here to give you my review of that. So, folks, we're going to get into the review of the new film, Silent Night. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Silent Night, which is coming to theaters December 1st. So it was no question, with John Woo being attached to a project, you know you got to see what it's all about. And in case you're not familiar with John Woo, I mean, he's brought to you some of the best and top tier martial arts films of all time. Just thinking back to a couple of my favorites, and obviously you can talk about some other popular ones like Mission Impossible 2 and whatnot, but like The Cross Scene, if you haven't seen, which is something I was really big on, Red Cliff 1 and 2, just the resume, and I even get to the producer roles as well, credits as well too. But John Woo nonetheless is back now with a new film starring Joel Kinnaman, who, okay, I'm always going to be signed up for Joel as your lead in a film. And with the synopsis of it, you definitely are very intrigued about what does it look like for a man, a father seeking revenge, and that father being Joel. Now, I just got to just say, I'm a huge fan of Joel's work. One of my favorite shows is For All Mankind, which is available right now on Apple TV Plus. He is the character Ed Baldwin, so you definitely want to check that out if you haven't. If you're not familiar with Joel, I think look no further than right there just to really see how talented this guy is. But as I mentioned, in this film, he plays the character Brian. Brian is, first of all, it's Christmas Eve. He's with his family, and very senseless neighborhood violence with a drive-by injures his son, ultimately killing him, and with that, and at that very moment, you know, he kicks into dad mode and says, I have to stop these guys. And they're thugs, they're gangsters, you know, and they're doing what they do. But as I mentioned, like, you know, without any hesitation, he runs after them. So this neighborhood violence and drive-by was the result of his son fatally being killed. Very senseless, as I mentioned. But with that, he gets injured in his pursuit of these bad guys. And while it looks very critical for him, he does survive. And while the bullet did hit a very interesting location, because it looks like it grazed his neck, and I mean, anywhere around this area, you could almost consider yourself gone. But it ultimately did injure his vocal cords, and now he is mute. So that's where the Silent Night aspect of it comes. So with just mass depression, which ultimately caused the rift in his household with his wife, he cuts on, something cuts on in him, and he is instantly out to bring down this entire gang operation. And he wants to do so by the anniversary of the event. So this is a 12-month span of him literally turning himself into an assassin to bring down these gangsters and their entire operation. So he's fueled by anger, and this is a regular family man who now turns into Max Payne or the Punisher, nonetheless, to revenge his family. So, like I said, he loses his voice due to the vocal cord injury. And throughout this film, you sort of see him train in combats and weapons and driving, many months of training, collecting intelligence on these guys, and getting jacked during the way. So I do love the build of this film, that it wasn't just like 1 minute he's a regular guy, the next minute he's out here just killing everybody, you know. And even with that progression, he definitely gets into some very near-death situations himself in terms of pursuing these guys. So, you know, I like that, because it felt more authentic than just a guy who's mad. It's like, oh, all of a sudden I'm about to just take everybody down, knowing he never had the skills in the first place. You know what I mean? So yeah, listen, once the action kicks in, it really turns on, because I think Joel is so good, and to mute him in the film is a extremely bold decision. One I would never pick on my best day, but I trust John, and I thought even with Joel as this father here and muted the entire film, I think he's still very much thrived. I can't even lie. I think every scene he's still very much must watch, and you're just looking to see what he's going to do next. It's on that note, it's completely unpredictable, because this is an untrained guy trying to become an assassin and ultimately trying to take down a gang operation with, in that case, he has like minimum help with the authorities, because my guy Kid Cudi's in this film, one of my favorite artists here, so like, duh. And with him, he plays this detective Vessel, and he does nothing. There's not a lot of Kid Cudi. I mean, he gets like a very small scene in the beginning, and then he gets like a very small scene at the end. It is almost a glorified cameo. And even with him being the character or the law authority, I mean, he doesn't really contribute to the case at all. I mean, he comes in, honestly, I don't want to give anything away, but he's just almost useless. So I was very underwhelmed by that performance and that use of one of my favorite artists. And he's a great actor too. I mean, I enjoyed him in a lot of different films. And I think that you definitely can use him in a way that this could be like more fulfilling than what we got with this. There is definitely some very obvious CGI in this, but it's overly entertaining, so I just kind of just let it go. I did enjoy the slow motion shots, and I think like the action-packed car scenes definitely helped as well too. But I think like the biggest thing for me is just like the logic and the psychology behind the main character, because again, with him being so fueled to seek revenge for his family in a year span, he definitely didn't just get out there and become an ass-kicking machine. He had to like build up. He had to take some L's, and he had to figure it out. And by all means, the Detective Dennis, Kid Cudi character did not help at all. So I will say, like, it was overly entertaining, and there was definitely some very bomb shots. Cinematography definitely has some very, very good moments in it. But I just think with the lack of words and dialogue in the film, they definitely just ramped up the action. So I enjoyed the film. I wasn't overly in love with it. There was definitely some good moments. There's not many memorable moments, like moments I want to point back to and say, yeah, that was an amazing scene. But I think for what it's worth and how everything all came together, it's a solid film across the board. And I think without a doubt, it's a popcorn flick that you definitely want to go in theaters to see. Just kick back. Again, Joel did just fantastic in this, you know, and I think for a father seeking revenge for his son, I think that's an easy buy in terms of the plot. But seeing a guy who had zero skill really develop it over time, and seeing like the development of that was entertaining. Yes, most of these cases, somebody comes in and it's just automatically a killing machine, and it's just unbelievable. So I was invested into him, just getting back. Getting to that point of being able to get back that revenge. So nonetheless, I think a lot of people are very excited for this film, and I definitely think you should check it out. It is Silent Night, folks. It is in theaters December 1st. Get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this one when you check it out. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.